In this lesson on organic insect and disease management in the Southwest, we'll hear from farmers and their advisors about what's out there, what we can do about it, and how organic tools and strategies are a little different than what conventional folks might be used to. Let's explore some of the most common pests and diseases seen in field crops in the Southwest.
Dry southwestern climates have fewer diseases and fewer pests, which of course makes organic farming easier in many respects here than in other places, more humid environments, because we have fewer tools to manage those outbreaks. So that is definitely a benefit.
So we're fortunate enough to grow organically in West Texas that is very dry, very hot. We don't have a whole lot of disease pressure. Peanuts is probably the worst, but in cotton, we don't have a lot of fungal pressure. We don't have a lot of disease pressure.
I really haven't had a big issue with disease so far. I mean, I've had some leaf spot. My peanuts have defoliated early to where late leaf spot hit me pretty hard, and they just defoliated, and we just had to hang on. Luckily, the vines stayed green. Probably the main thing that we battle is going to be worms in late summer. Worms, stink bugs. Worms have just been all over my peanuts. It looked like they were shredded. They was so bad, the top canopy, that it looked like you just ran a shredder over them. I've had so many bollworms out there that it smells like a brewery. I mean, you can smell it when they go into the bowls and the bowls start oozing out that clear liquid, and you can walk out in the field and it literally smells like you're standing inside a brewery. And I mean, that is a big yield impact. It's got to be a couple 100 pounds at least, I think, that you lose on yield.
In a lot of the areas of the state, we've gotten some fall rains. Weren't expecting those fall rains. And so the first thing that hit is armyworms. And so you need to understand armyworms. You need to know how long they're going to be here. We got a full moon, armyworm eggs are laid, suddenly the armyworms are there. Most of the consultants that work organic knew to expect that, and we're on top of it. We can kill the very small larvae pretty easily. We can't kill the big ones.
Speaking of control, what cultural tools and conditions can farmers access to combat pest and disease pressure?
If you don't get a freeze, then your insects never die off, and so you're going to have way more insect pressure. That's why our area right here is ideally suited for organic cotton, because we do get those freezes and sometimes get hard freezes, but we do still have a long growing season, so we can wipe out those insects, and start off fairly fresh.
And then next would be scouting, doing an IPM approach, staying on top of the insect problems. That you have areas in the field that every year that's where your diseases and that's where your insects are going to be. Go there and look for those problems. They will be there. They're the low spot. They're the spot behind a tree line. They're a spot that gets drouthy before you know it. Go to those places, look for your problems, and once you see them, then you can jump on it for the rest of the field. Go ahead and plant those places even though you don't want to, because they will be your identifier, the place that you can go look.
So you're finishing up on the pivot and you crank it back. Not a good thing to do. And you can generate bacterial diseases in cotton. You can generate fungal diseases, foliar fungal diseases in peanuts, or you can generate soil-borne fungal diseases in peanuts. You can generate southern corn leaf blight or fungal diseases in corn on a windshield wipe. Especially on a year where you have some good moisture, where we're getting a little rain, and then you add that to the mix, it's going to cause you problems. So that's any crop, any situation. That windshield wipe, start, stop just immediately is going to create you some difficulties. And then if you're not in a good rotation, it's going to create even more difficulties without moisture in the air.
You have to have a good rotation. If you don't have good rotation, you're going to start having all kinds of disease pressure, especially like pod rot in peanuts and other kind of foliar diseases and stuff too. I mean, rotation is key for preventing that. Even doing every other year peanuts, if you do year one, then year two you do wheat or cotton, and then year three you do peanuts, and you go every other year peanuts, that's still too much.
There are different species of rotational crops. but also they enhance each other by facilitating the growth of bacteria and fungi, beneficials, in the soil that will positively influence the overall health of the plant. And that can be done without adding anything. It's already there in your soil. These bacteria and fungi, they just need a food source. So by following a proper rotation that's designed, depending on what crop system is your core, it doesn't fix plant disease or stop it completely. But the rotation is going to take into account, it helps the insect population. It reduces overwintering species by not planting crops that would support the same insect issues. And the same thing with fungi and bacteria. So all of these things work together in what a true rotation is. It's not just switching crops. There is a deep science involved in developing crop rotation that can make major enhancements on nutrition for the crops, on plant protection all the way through.
And what about input-based control? Are there organic pesticides, and how should they be used?
You got to watch for disease, watch for pod rot, and watch for leaf spot, watch for web blotch, late leaf spot, that kind of stuff. I mean, hopefully you don't get anything. If you do, spray it. There are some products available, double nickel, serenade, depending on what you're going after. And unfortunately, with organic, I haven't sprayed anything that is just a wipeout kind of a pesticide. Like conventional crops, you can spray things, it'll just wipe them out and they're gone, But with organic, we don't have any product available to us where it's like that, where it'll just smoke them. You spray it and it's just littered in dead worms. I haven't found anything that I've tried. And that is one of those things definitely key, that you hit them early whenever they're little bitty, as soon as they hatch. If it's going to work, the product, it's going to be then, not when they're big.
Nobody knows what products to use anymore. They haven't studied what kind of organic products are out there. And the thing is that these organic products are changing almost daily. We're getting new and better materials. We're learning the types of fungal and bacterial interactions that can happen in a jug and be placed out there, what they're going to do for each other. That's kind of unique.
And something that wants to eat what you're trying to grow is always going to show up. True bugs like Hemiptera, so like, for example, Lygus bug is one that's just really hard to manage. There's not a great natural enemy complex for it that specializes on it, at least. From an organic pest management, we don't have any really good biologicals for it. And the few insecticides that we do have are pretty broad spectrum, which if you look at conventional, Lygus is mostly managed with the most broad spectrum range of neurotoxins. So spinosins in the organic world, and then, the full suitcase over in the conventional world.
We have extremely viable, good scientific, reproducible results with various plant protection products on the organic side. We use some of them on the conventional side because they're more cost effective and they have an immediate reentry. They're plant extracts, they're bacterial produced toxins, they're fungal produced toxins, various numbers of things. Javelin, for example, that's a BT product that's been around for a while. They are verifiable, they're useful, they're good. They are active against basically worms. And again, you have to retreat parts that are new that, may have fruiting sites and those kind of things. You got to take care of them. So it may be once a week during the parts of the seasons when these things are a problem. Let's say, for example, tobacco budworm. If you're going out there in May and spraying for tobacco budworm, well, that's kind of silly because there's no tobacco budworm. But as soon as you get some pinhead squares and some squares or what would be buds developing, you're going to see tobacco budworm. And so being on the front end of that, making sure when you see the first moth, you have to go treat. If you've treated when you see the first damage, you waited way too late because damage is damage and it's already got a population there. So getting control is a problem. Pyganic's a great product. Now it scorches everything. That's beneficials and, pests. So it's going to kill them all in about 10 minutes. They're going to be out there laying in there, it looks like a morgue walking through your field. There's just dead bugs everywhere. But if you need a rescue treatment, that's a pretty nice one, but it's all about coverage, massive water, getting good coverage. And so if you can't get good penetration, you're wasting your money and your time because you're not going to kill everything. Now, here's the thing, there's no residual. Comes in right after that, and you're not going to have that product have any impact. 0.3 of a second, a millisecond, whatever it is, it has to touch it. And so that's a plant-based product. That's a chrysanthemum oil. We spray it for spotted wing Drosophila in the fields right before they harvest. It dries off. It's immediate reentry or immediate pick. It's not harmful. It has no residual flavor, discoloring on fruits or those kinds of things. And so it's wonderful. And so there's a whole range. You have plant extracts, and those are really good in a lot of cases. I mean, we have to conclude nematology. So if you have parasitic roundworms in the soil, more typical in sand, there are some control measures out there. You have to put it down at plant. There's really one product that I'm aware of that has trial replicated data, and that's the magistine that's used in the furrow. And we use them both on conventional and organic. Okay, there's a bazillion products out there. Everyone wants a Coors Light. They all need a silver bullet, and they don't exist.
We've covered cultural and input-based controls. What about biological controls? Is that something that farmers should be looking into?
At first, when we first started growing cotton, it was, which product do I need to spray? What do I need to spray to wipe them out? But we've been kind of changing our thinking on that, and we've started utilizing some beneficial insects. And so we start putting out beneficial insects weekly, and we get those from Cunafin down in South Texas. And they ship our insects to us. They come in packages that are refrigerated, and you can see it's a little package like this, about that big, and it's got a clear cellophane on the top and then a breathable paper on the back, and you can see those strips of eggs on those little strips of paper. And when you see the first insects start hatching from those eggs, then we know it's time to put them out.
And then we just go walk around the field or hop on a dirt bike and go run through the field and just hang them on a limb ever so often of your cotton. And I've put them out of my peanuts too, just stick them down in the canopy. And so we start like early July and then try to build up our population. And then by like the middle of August or so, we'll stop putting out lacewing and just continue with the trichogramma because we've built our population of lacewing.
We may not spray if we see the first signs of some insects out there. We may not spray immediately because we want our beneficial insects out there to go to work and start doing what they're meant to do. And so we try to hold off on spraying until we get a problem. And then even if we do get a problem and we reach that threshold, then we try to spray something that is very gentle on the beneficials that may not hurt them. Obviously, our last resort is to spray something that may harm our beneficials too, but we haven't done that really in probably 3 or 4 years because our beneficials are really working.
Lacewing eggs are easy to spot, and so you see tons of lacewing eggs out there in the field. And the trichogramma, I mean, you can see the swarms of trichogramma flying around, every now and then, like you'll walk through it and it's just so I mean, you do see it out there.
If we're looking at insect control, our first line of defense is beneficials. We need to make sure that our beneficial populations are working out there. And the way we do that is we buy beneficials and get on a schedule using beneficials before we see the problem. So most of the growers that you're going to see and meet are going to tell you that they start the schedule, don't really have much to worry about, but they've got them established and out there.
A lot of these organic pesticides, I kind of question the effectiveness of some of it, but with the beneficials, if you have a trichogramma wasp and you put him next to a moth egg, he will sting it because he's procreating. That's what he's born to do. So I don't question that. I love that because like a lacewing, you put lacewing out there, they will eat the bugs because they're going to survive. So it just makes a lot of sense to me. And I think I've seen good results. It's not very expensive. And so I really like doing that. I like doing that a lot because it just makes sense to me. You put out these bugs, they will eat them. They're born to do it.
Now let's zoom out and take in the larger picture as we wrap this up. What's the best way for advisors to think about organic pest and disease dynamics? What's a good metaphor for folks to keep in mind?
And I say, okay, guy, you're going to go run a marathon. First of all, after they swallow their tongue and you get serious, you say, well, how am I going to set you up for this? I'm going to take you and your brother, and I'm going to put you out here. And your brother, I'm going to go let him do whatever he wants, play his video games and do all that stuff and eat whatever he wants to eat. And, he's 23 years old, just got out of college. You can imagine what that is. And I'm going to take the first brother, and I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to put you on an exercise regimen, and I'm going to feed you exceptional nutrition and fertility, and I'm going to put you in environments that are going to train your body to be ready for stresses. And then we're going to go do it. Who's going to win the race?